Hello, this is Mary Ann Esau for EDL 854, Module 16, Case Study. So our case study took place at George Washington Middle School. Some money and some tickets came up missing from a basketball game. Some parent volunteers are used to help with the funds and to collect money. We know that one person paid with a $50 bill, and when the principal opened the bag of money, there was no $50 bill. So we need to figure out what we know, what we need to know, and what the problem actually is. So we know that George Washington Middle School has a declining population and socioeconomic status. We know that the Booster Club helps a lot with events and helps take a lot of money. We know that Mrs. Bowman wants the PTA money to go to her daughter for her cheerleading tryout. And Mr. Stevens, the principal, said no to her request because he didn't want to have one student get a lot of money and not benefit all the students. We know that Mrs. Bowman was collecting money during a basketball game, and we know that money and tickets came up missing after the game. What we would like to know is, were the PTA funds ever given to one student before? Was Mrs. Bowman justified in her request, or was she just kind of reaching? Was this the first time the missing money was noticed? Has this happened before? Were there any parents that were new to volunteer position? Because, a new volunteer could maybe raise suspicion. And was the bag ever left in the care of only one parent? There were more parents that were there, more than one parent that was there, but, were there two parents at all times? So we know that the problem is that they're missing tickets and money, and we do know that Mr. Dumas, a parent, paid with a $50 bill, and it is gone. So category 2 is the proposed plan of action. The plan for me is to ask all the volunteers about the missing tickets and try to get the money back, and just to see what went on. I want to get to the bottom of the situation without accusing anybody. I would like to meet with all the parents and explain what happened and why this is a problem. And I don't want to place blame. Mr. Dumas could have thought it was a 50 and he paid with a 20 for all we know. So it's important that we don't blame one parent or one group of people before we know what actually happened. So category 3 is resolve the issues. What is best for students? So to me, the idea of what's best for students is that the money is collected and they get all the money that was collected. So to me, Mrs. Bowman didn't have the needs of all the students in mind. She just kind of had her own daughter's needs in mind. And I think as a principal, you have to look at what's best for all the kids. And, I kind of said that there. Examples, the money can't just go to Mrs. Bowman's daughter for her cheer trip. To me, that's, again, unrealistic to assume or to even ask that one person gets the money that was raised by a group of people for most of the students. The Booster Club needs funds to help all the students, and especially because of the lower socioeconomic status of the building, that money can go a long way for a lot of people. And I think that as a principal, I think Mr. Daniels did a good job with making sure that all students were taken care of. To debrief the problem, I was feeling bad for Mr. Stevens. He was put in a weird position, I think, because of the fact that Mrs. Bowman was a PTA member and a booster member. She ultimately wanted what's best for her kid, but at the same time, we had to think of all the students. At best, this was a misunderstanding. It could have just been, like I said, Mr. Dumas could have been mistaken about the bill that he had. We don't know. And at worst, this could be happening for a long time. This could be something that has gone on for many games, and this is just the first time anyone said anything because of the $50 bill that was missing. I also kind of felt like Mrs. Bowman, like I said, was kind of irrational in her requests. She should understand why the decision had to be made and why she should fundraise in other ways. There's no reason she shouldn't fundraise for her kid and why her kid shouldn't have fundraisers herself, but to expect all the money to go to her kid is kind of irrational. For me, what is left to solve? I want to know what actually happened to the money, how much was taken, and by whom. It could have just, again, been misunderstanding, but someone took some money, and I think we know that. And I want to know, has this happened before? I guess as the principal, I would be hesitant to leave parents in charge if there's money missing. This could have been $50 here and there for, months and months for all we know. So this is standard 8, category 5. So how do I, as a school leader, demonstrate knowledge of the operational procedures? As the leader in this scenario, I made sure that the tickets were numbered, which is, something that we've learned in this class. We had more than one volunteer at each place and trusted all the volunteers. You want to assume good intentions with everybody, and people that have been volunteering for many years, you want to assume that they have the best interests in mind. And having more than one volunteer at each place is something that, to keep those checks and balances in place, is something that's very important. So how do I, as a school leader, demonstrate trusting stakeholders? So I have had members of the Booster Club that help with the events. I trust that they, will do a good job and act with integrity, and that they want what's best for all the students. And I also trusted Mr. Dumas with telling the truth about the $50 bill. Again, he could have been mistaken for all we know. He could have thought he paid with a 50, but it was really a 20. But I trust that he knew what he was talking about. And then how do I, as a school leader, ensure the systems are regularly monitored? I make sure that more than one person takes the funds, make sure that 2 parents or more are there at all times. I would have people switch roles. So sometimes I would have, Mrs. Bowman, for example, take money. Sometimes I would have someone else take money. Sometimes I might have someone do concessions, and then the next time they could take money at the gate, that kind of thing. And then you can kind of see, is there missing money that follows one person? Is it not? And kind of go from there. I would try also to get more volunteers for each game. That can be very difficult, but that might be something that could help, just so more people have that opportunity to help and to touch the money, just to make sure that it's not just 1 or 2 people doing this the whole time. And then also, if funds or tickets go missing when only one particular person works, then that could be a clue of what happened to the money. So, for example, if Mrs. Bowman, all the money goes missing when she works, then that might be a red flag. So I would try really hard to investigate all of those things, and again, just make sure I don't accuse anybody, but try to get to the bottom of the situation, because it could be bad and it could have been ongoing. That is it. And thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Thanks.